Oh, hello everyone. Um, I said that I would do the DK Bongos follower goal stream this week, and it is still this week. So also I got a new mic set up. I don't know if it's too quiet or anything. I tried changing around the settings to get it as good as I could, but yeah, new mic. And first new mic stream is also the DK Bongo stream. The one that is going to be a fucking mess. I was originally considering streaming earlier in the day at my more typical time of around the morning. However, I wanted to give myself more time to both set up the mic itself and also troubleshoot anything for the DK bongos because they actually surprisingly were not that hard to get working with my real PlayStation 2, my real Sony PlayStation 2, which I am definitely connecting to my DK bongos through an official Nintendo and Sony adapter. But it was surprisingly not too bad, so I guess it wasn't necessary. But um, yeah, um, yeah. I already have the game up because I needed to already have it up pre-stream to make sure it was working fine, and it is. Uh, This thing has technically 5 buttons, arguably 6, because it also has a microphone in it and it can like kind of detect that. But obviously, because I am having to talk while doing it, that button doesn't exist. So I have 5 buttons, and and even if I wasn't streaming, from what I have read, it is slightly a pain in the ass to get the mic specifically to work as an actual input. So, so instead I have 5 buttons, but to make up for it, I gave myself the ability to assign one single button to the keyboard, and I decided to go with the start button. And the only reason why is because it is only needed for one single menu. The start button is only ever needed to get past that one very beginning menu. So it is relatively fine to set to a button that I will not need to frequently use. But also you can't get past the main menu without pressing start. So I would have had to either use one of my 5 buttons on just start, change the mapping mid-game, which I was considering doing, or just map it to a button on the keyboard and just say fuck it, because again, I am working with one less than intended button anyways. So yeah, what again did I have? Oh yeah, that's yeah, I have so the button mapping that I went with. The game does not require that many buttons, but it does still require movement, and movement is the main concern. So, because really all I need is movement, a single attack button. I don't have strong attacks mapped, so I can only use light attacks this entire run. I don't know how far I'll go. I'm gonna be honest, I'm probably gonna end up failing like stage 2. But I'm also playing on easy difficulty. I was considering playing on a higher difficulty, but fucking this is gonna be a mess as is. We would be here for fucking forever just trying to get the basic controls down in stage 1 if I played on hard, so but yeah. I don't think the bongo sounds get picked up by the mic at all. I'm less so slapping the bongos like you would think, and more just pressing them like buttons, because they are effectively just buttons with like a kind of, not rubber, but like kind of rubber-like material over top of two of the buttons. Because fun fact, something most people don't know because it's not used in any of the official DK Bongo games made by Nintendo. Not Donkey Konga, not Jungle Beat, I think it is. None of those use it. The tops, the like actual bongo part, is actually two buttons, or well, four total between both bongos. Most people don't know that because again, it is not used at all. And the character I'm gonna go with, I think I'll just go with my favorite Xiahou Dun. Both because I think he's my strongest character, because I'm not doing this on a fresh save file. I decided to just use my my most recent save file, which it's not as far along as it could be. But not like super far along, so I don't like have anything too crazy to destroy the game. Oh fuck. Oh, okay. I can navigate this menu luckily without. So another thing, I said I had movement mapped. I only have three movement buttons mapped. I have up, left, and right. Originally I was going to do up and then left, and then put both attack buttons on one. But it is so hard to get around with just two movement buttons. Even just three movement buttons is kind of a fucking pain in the ass. This is the only method that this is the only button mapping I could figure out that was kind of somewhat usable. Not ideal, then you know it's still the bongos, but not many buttons, but it is at least playable to enough of an extent that I think I can make progress. I have to remember fucking what buttons I actually have everything mapped to. Because what I actually have everything mapped to is the top left button is up, bottom left button is left, bottom right button is right, and then top right button is the attack button. And then the like start button on the bongo, the like circle in the middle, is X. I am mostly going to be using that for menus though. That is primarily for menus. See again, as I said earlier, it's still really hard to navigate even with just like 3 movement buttons. I could jump, but no, let's see. I will hopefully get the hang of it eventually. It's not like too bad. It's mostly just, it's less so the lack of buttons or even the controller itself that's the fault, and more so that I probably should have practiced a bit, because I'm kind of forgetting which button does what. Okay, good. Now, let's see if we can grab the attack upgrade. And the defense. Okay, we did. Just barely, but we did indeed get it. Oh yeah. I mean, it's not the most useful, you know, it's, I did say that I do have him decently set up already, but Oh, just barely got him. As I said, not a new save file. Not fully upgraded, but it is at least upgraded enough that with the attack buffing item, Yellowtune is able to just take out enemies one shot. I think that's fine though. It's not. I don't have too much of a problem with that for one reason, and that's that hitting the actual enemies, especially the ones on horses, are a significantly bigger challenge than just like killing them. Like I think once I get them down from the horses, it wouldn't be too hard to kill them anyways. Yeah, actually, like, fighting them, their health isn't too much of an issue. It's just a matter of, like, attacking them in the first place. That's the bigger issue. I keep, because of the way I have it mapped, I keep pressing the attack button when I move right. It's not too bad, luckily. Not the most. So it's good that the first stage of Dynasty Warriors 2 is like a pretty easy stage. It's very hard to die in this one, especially with like already decently higher than normal stats. Something I do want to do at some point during the stream is figure out if I can do a juggle. Like, see if I can put together the coordination to juggle at least, like, up to, like, a 3 or 4 combo. Not much. I'm not gonna get, like, a fucking 50 combo with this setup, but if I could get, like, 1 or 2, I think that would be funny enough. I got it. Yeah, with three movement buttons, you would think that, oh, you have 3, you have most of the movement buttons necessary. It's still not amazing. It's still kinda not great. Yeah, and because of the way I have things mapped, I also can't really skip any of these. Not too big of a deal. They're neat cutscenes at least, and since we're only doing one run, it's not like we're gonna have to see them all 50 times. But it is yet another one of the one of the little quirks of this whole control setup. Yeah, these little like character intros for when you come across like a major enemy commander, They're not too bad in this game. They could be worse. In a lot of later Dynasty Warriors games, though, 3 especially, they happen so frequently that they can be really obnoxious. I don't actually remember if there's a way to turn them off into. I know in Dynasty Warriors 3 there is, and I always play with that turned off. 2 though, I don't know. I don't know if there is or not. Surprisingly, getting 147 KOs with the Bongos is a lot better than I expected. The time wasn't great. 7 minutes on that stage is not the greatest. The Yellow Turban Rebellion is like a 2-minute, honestly even like 1 minute and 30-second stage if you're playing really well. Obviously, I'm not. I'm using Bongos, but I was honestly really worried that the save menu was gonna be up and down and I was gonna have to press down for it. I would have a way out of that by just instantly, like, temporarily remapping a single button, but it was something I was a bit worried about. I tested these a little bit before stream just to make sure everything functioned and it was technically playable, but they didn't really do much. So it is not impossible that there will be a point where it is just not possible to progress with so few buttons. I don't think it is. I don't remember any point in the game from my last playthrough of it getting like of any menus or anything later on that we haven't already seen, but this, however, is going to be one of the kind of defining stages of how difficult this is going to be. Yellow Turban Rebellion is pretty easy. It's not a very hard stage. Hulao Gate, however, is still not ridiculously difficult, but it's not so easy that you can kind of just completely like kind of get lucky and still win. Like, you do have to actually play the game in order to win this stage, especially because Wu Bu is an opponent in this stage, and while I probably won't defeat him, in fact it's very likely I will end up dying if I do go after him, I do plan to at least attempt to fight Wu Bu with these. Also, really good thing, this stage starts on a horse, and they're not really super easily usable in Yellow Turban Rebellion. But in Hulao Gate, this horse is going to fucking save this run, not just in this stage, but in several later stages, because I don't even have to worry about the back button. The horse is the main reason I decided to go with only mapping the 3 face buttons or 3 D-pad buttons and not bothering with the down, because I get back on my horse. Because down is not necessary when you're on a horse. It does turn you around, but like it's not really as useful as it is with normal movement. See if I can actually get back on said horse. See, I gotta kind of circle around in the perfect positioning to get back on the horse. Oh, ooh. Okay, good. Yeah, anytime I fall off the horse for the entire rest of the run, it is going to be a bit of a pain in the ass. It's gonna happen several times, but anytime it does happen is going to be a huge pain in the ass, because getting back on them is not so easy. Oh. I got the unique Xiahou Dun cutscene for this stage, where he gets his eye torn out. Despite the fact that in this game, And in most older Dynasty Warriors, his model has the eye patch no matter what. Like, even before then, his model will always have the eye patch. So it doesn't make the most sense, but it is fun that they did at least, like, despite that fact, still, like, bring in the, still, like, give a cutscene for that event, because it is a pretty significant event in this period of time. I think in normal playthroughs I would go and help my allies, both because, like, it makes it easier if you keep your morale as high as possible, and that's the only way to keep morale high, but also because I usually like having at least a couple allies around once I get to the end of the stage, because the last segment, it's not too much of an issue on easy difficulty, but on higher difficulties especially, the last segment does have multiple officers, and that can be a bit dangerous. But I think because I'm on said lower difficulty, and more importantly, because doing anything extra that's not necessary in this run is going to be going to come at a pretty high both time investment and, more importantly, any health lost is not, not permanently lost. I can still get health drops like there, but it's going to be significantly harder because of the fact that, well, we'll get this health drop down there. It's like, if I wanted to get that, I would have to do the strangest maneuver possible, so I think I'll instead just focus on the main objective and not really worry too much about my allies. I'm gonna leave them all for dead. I'll let Ubu kill all of them. Look, if they can't defeat Ubu, but I can with Bongos, I don't think it's really worth going after them. They would only hold Xiaohodun back. Okay, now where the fuck is Ubu? I know he's in this kind of area. I think he's a bit further in. But Ubu is the main goal. Oh, never mind. It's Zhenglao. Ubu is the main goal of this stage. I want to defeat him. If I don't, not too big of a deal, but that is my primary goal. Okay. Yeah, if you position your movements correctly, you can still take out mounted generals, even from the ground. You just have to hit them in a really precise angle, so it's not the easiest, but it is definitely possible. And that is what I will be relying on quite a bit to take out generals that are mounted, because while I do have the jump button mapped, it's not the best placement. It's at the button in front of the Bongos, so I can press it anytime I need to, but it's not a very convenient spot, and I can't really attack and move and jump at the same time unless I do, like, crab posture. Yeah, I can do it, but it's just not the most convenient. Huh? An elixir? Don't really need the elixir since I can't use my musou attack, and I also already had near max health, but Now here's the real challenge. If I can beat Ulubu here, I think I can do the rest of the run without too much problem. I think he's going to be the biggest issue of the entire run. In fact, I think I'm gonna take out the gate captains first, because the less reinforcements I have around me for Ulubu, the better. Oh shit, he's behind me. One actually positive, well, positive with the caveat thing with the bongos is so in Dynasty Wars 2, this is only a thing in 2. This is not a thing in any future games. It's a really bad mechanic, so I'm very glad that it got taken out. But using strong attacks or like high chain light attacks on an enemy will often knock them down, and only in Dynasty Warriors 2, if you knock down an opponent, they have a very high chance of getting a buff of some kind, including healing back everything. They can potentially heal back everything you've done to them. And that's obviously not ideal, especially when fighting the strongest guy. Oop. Where is he? Oh, took him out. Okay, good. He's now done with. That was not too bad. I did get decently low health. Obviously the being on a low difficulty and also having decently high stats to begin with made it way easier, but yeah, he is a lot harder if you are playing on higher difficulties. Maybe I should have went with at least normal difficulty. I anticipated significantly more challenge with the bongos, and they are like very hard to get used to at the beginning. I think by this point I've kind of figured them out well enough that they're not too big of an issue. And once you've gotten used to the controls, even fighting Ulubu on easy difficulty isn't too hard. So depending on how quickly I finish this run, I may actually do a second one just on normal difficulty. Again, depends on how fast I finish this one. I don't wanna do this run for like 2.5 hours and then be like, yeah, I'm gonna do another one on a higher difficulty. I don't think that would be an amazing idea, but if it's a very fast run, I may do it. It would likely be a lot more entertaining and also fun on my end to get some actual challenge, because this has ended up being not especially difficult like I had expected. Part of that does, of course, come from the fact that I came in with higher than normal stats. Probably should have restarted from a new save, but again, expected way more friction from the bongos. And they're not easy. They are a bit difficult to work around, but they're not impossible. Yeah, you can kind of just take them out easily. I feel like another Dynasty Warriors game, like Dynasty Warriors 3, would probably be significantly harder with the bongos. One very significant advantage to mechanically, that makes it a lot easier with these things, is that Dynasty Warriors 2, heavy attacks kind of fucking suck. Like, they're not completely useless, but they're not super useful either. Because they can knock down opponents, they're a lot more risky to use, so you can kind of just go without them for most of the game. Really, the only problem is just that I can't move down. Lacking the down button is really the only significant problem here, surprisingly.
Soよ。降伏するなら今のうちだぞ。戦は兵の数でするのではない。ここでするのだ。
Okay, let's see. This stage will be a bit more difficult. This is where the game does kind of start ramping up a bit in difficulty. It shouldn't be too bad though. If I remember the stage's layout correctly, shouldn't be too bad. I would look at more details of the stage conditions, like who's which opponents, where each opponent is, and who each of the icons are. But I think if I entered one of these menus, if I clicked on one of these, most likely I would get stuck. Because while I do have an X button mapped, I do not have circle. So I have confirm, not cancel though. If I ever need to cancel out of anything, I cannot do that. Unfortunately. See, the funny thing is, because of Jahoodun's fighting placement on this map, I could technically, if I really wanted to, I could just go directly to the enemy commander and just kill them instantly. I think I will go after some other enemy generals to help my allies first, but it would be an option to just say, fuck it, run directly to the commander and finish this as quickly as possible. Yeah, I think by this point I've pretty well figured out the muscle memory to playing this, so I think a lot of the challenge of the Bongos largely just comes down to not having the down button. This is a game that is not actually too bad with these Bongos, surprisingly. I knew it wasn't a very many button game. That's why I chose it over like Dynasty Warriors 3 or just another musou in general. But did not expect it to be this frictionless. It's really just the lack of a down button. And technically, if I really wanted, if I weren't streaming, I could technically just mount, I could just map the down button to like the start button on the Bongos, and then map X to the mic. Obviously, I can't do that in this situation, but like if you were playing it by yourself, that would be an option, and that means there's a lot more that these can do than expected. I kind of expected these to not be the best to use. They're also not that uncomfortable. I mean, you're literally just slapping like two flat like rubber bongos, but They're a decent size, not too big, not too tiny. Which is honestly quite surprising. I honestly expected it to be very tiny bongos because of where it's just a kid's video game accessory. But no, they're actually pretty big. Maybe not the greatest controller ever. I can still see why challenge runs exist for this controller for more complex games like Dark Souls and stuff. I know people do with these controllers. But for a game as simple as this, it's surprisingly not too bad. Like, I don't think we'll actually have too much difficulty getting through this run with this controller. Now, something that I have relied on a decent amount, and is actually another thing that's surprisingly good for positioning. I basically required using it when I was fighting Lu Bu. Is there is a very light auto-targeting in this game. Like, you will, it's not very strong, it's very light. There's a slight kind of targeting system where whoever you are fighting, when you are doing like attacks, you will go slightly toward them. So if you move an enemy out of the way slightly to the left or right, as long as you don't move them too far away, you will like move toward them. Yeah, see, not very much, but it is just enough that it's really useful for repositioning yourself. Like, yeah, I could just turn left there, but I could also just not, and instead keep it going. Which means that honestly, maybe it wouldn't have been too bad of an idea to map either left or right as down instead, and then like just omitted one of the two left or rights. I don't think I necessarily need both. And probably a different character would also make this harder. Xiahou has very wide attacks that also reach slightly behind him, and because of that, he's one of the easier characters to kind of just button mash with. You can kind of just swing aimlessly, and you will hit something 90 times, 9 times out of 10, as Xiahou. Most other characters have smaller ranges, him in particular is very good for it. And on this stage, Liu Bei is not actually the commanding general. He's just a minor general. Or, well, technically a major one, but he's not the main general. You know, he's kind of just a sub-commander. You know, a controller is usable when I can when I can still press the buttons in time to the music and do not have that much of an issue. Maybe I should do a second run. This one, we are already pretty much halfway through this run, so wouldn't be too hard to do a second one. But maybe I should do another one and just up the difficulty by one level. I don't think I'm gonna do hard mode, probably just normal, but it would give at least a tiny bit more of a challenge. And even just a tiny bit more is more than this is. Again, I expected this to be so much more difficult than it is. The Bongos are surprisingly good controllers. Like they made a good controller, both for its intended gimmick, I assume, of Donkey Konga, but also just kind of for general use. Like, it's not great. I don't think I would willingly use this in most games, if not for a bit specifically, but it's definitely not unusable. Like, absolutely not in the slightest. Oh, just barely clipped him. Now it's time for the true commander. One of very few stages in this particular game that made it into Dynasty Warriors 2, where the enemy general commander is not one of the three main, like, most well-known kingdom emperors. Because Wan Chao is a very important person in Three Kingdoms history, but there are a lot of other equally important characters that do not make it into Dynasty Warriors 2, and especially don't get their own entire stages. Yuan Shao is one of the very few that do, though, and it's very cool. Yeah, they kind of just don't fight back on this difficulty. I will still finish this run, but I will probably do a normal mode difficulty run as well, at least partially, just to see how much harder it is with these bongos. I was thinking it crashed for a moment there. No, I forgot that on my real PS2, my real PlayStation 2, that one cutscene I do actually remember from when I did my completion run of this game last year. I do actually remember that, yeah, that specific cutscene, I don't know why. will a lot of the time just like get stuck in it. You can still skip past it, but the cutscene itself will not play half the time. Use kind of weapon stalemate. Those right there are probably the point where these bongos are actually kind of easier to use for that specific action than a normal controller, because you literally just slap the bongos. Like, you slap them as intended. it's better than traditional controller buttons. I didn't really play this game too much on the easy difficulty when I was playing it normally last year. I did not know that this game is kind of like, I don't know, playing this game on easy difficulty is kind of just a joke. It's like, it's so, on easy difficulty specifically, it is really fucking easy. I think this game may even be easier than like Dynasty Warriors 3 on its lowest difficulty. Which is saying quite a bit, because I think Dynasty Warriors 3 is a very easy game when playing it on its lowest difficulty. But this one's kind of just, you can kind of just press buttons. Like playing with a normal controller, this would be a joke pretty much. I probably should up it to at least normal difficulty. Again, don't think I'll go to hard. You know, this game is easy right now. On hard difficulty, it does actually get decently challenging though. I don't think I want to go directly from easy immediately into hard difficulty. Now I say that I am very close to dying, so maybe it's not quite as easy as I was thinking, but it is the enemy commander. I do think there is a save point somewhere around here. I could go for that, but oh, got behind me. Never ideal. Okay, someone is still. Oh, I'm probably gonna die here. Or not. Oh, fucking goddamn, of course. Yeah, like I mentioned, there is the mechanic of if they get knocked down, they restore health. And it's the single biggest thing that makes this game kinda not that fun. Not as fun as it could be. And it's just that. Let's see if I can find that save point. I believe it is around here, but I could be misremembering. Oh. Completely overshot it? Okay. Well, no, but there was a full health recovery, so I'd say that's good enough. Okay. He's gonna restore. Yeah, no. I knew that. Anytime someone falls, there is a really high chance that they're just gonna restore all of their health. Like it is more often than not the case. Fuck. See, another thing with fighting enemy generals, especially the main commander, around your allies, is that what happened? Your allies will use strong attacks frequently. Even if you don't, your allies will, and they will gang up on the enemy commander, constantly knock him down, and just restore all of the health that he takes. And that is normally not too hard to deal with, but see, as you can see here, it's a bit of an issue when I can't like be constantly intentionally throwing him, like kind of leading him away from my allies. Here I don't really have the option for that, so see, I can't even get in for a hit, cause yeah, this is a bit of a problem. This isn't even an issue with the bongos. This is just the game. This is, I would say, the single biggest problem with the Dynasty Warriors 2 is this potential issue. Is this can happen, and you can just get into a loop. And it's not even difficult to get into this situation. Literally, the better you play, the more likely it is you will get into this situation. And I do believe that, I guess now, because he's been knocked down multiple times and hasn't healed in the last couple minutes. So I guess at a certain point, if you knock him down enough times, he does eventually just stop healing, I suppose. At least that seems to be the case. But, or well, maybe not. Maybe I've just been getting lucky with the heals, because he did get an attack increase there. So maybe not. Oh, he's gonna... No. Luckily, he did not. He got a Attack increase. Okay, go. Ah, yeah, I did not. I'm gonna be honest. I was expecting to be on there for a while. With the lack of extra, like, full control with the bongos, combined with that just being a really fucking obnoxious mechanic in general, I expected to be there for quite a while. Only a couple stages left for this run. Hopefully none of them will pose too much of an issue. And I don't think they will. I think it's just gonna be the commander in both situations. And in both cases, it's not going to be the bongos that are the problem. It's going to be that healing mechanic.
いや、出陣の用意を。蜀の軍勢が動きました。来たか。孔明、待っておったぞ。
And had to hydrate really quickly. This stage I remember not being too bad. When playing normally, at least, not too bad of a stage, luckily. While I was hydrating, I was like, you know what, I should change the category. What I'm considering doing is, maybe instead of doing another full run of this, I may try out another game with the bongos. It's like, the higher difficulty absolutely will make it harder, but it's kind of just gonna be Dynasty Warriors 2, but more difficult. The bongos themselves aren't actually doing that much to make it too much harder. I mean, it is. It's not as easy as it could be, but it's not. The bongos aren't as much of a hindrance in this particular game as expected. But another game, who knows? Probably. I would expect a different game to be a much bigger hindrance with this style of controller. Going a bit sloppy here at the beginning. You know what, I guess I should probably go on foot anyways. This is not one of the best stages for mounted combat, mostly because it's filled with archers. In fact, most of the later stages in a campaign are just absolutely filled with archers, so it's like a bit not great to be riding a horse around everywhere. You will get knocked down very frequently. The wide range of Jahodun's attacks did a lot of work in that little duel. You know, I think my allies can handle themselves. Maybe allies on the left, I mean. Maybe I'll go after... I would check the map, because I do not entirely remember if there is a bridge or not in this segment. I think there is. Oh wait, I think it's at the very bottom, but has been over a year since I played this at this point, so it's been a bit, but surprisingly, even ignoring the horses, haven't had too much issue with archers this run so far. I guess they're just not as aggressive on easy difficulty, because normally in almost all early Dynasty Warriors games, but especially this one, the archers are hell. They are absolute hell to deal with. A complete pain in the ass. The worst enemies. Pretty infamous. So much so that in modern Dynasty Warriors games, archers are basically useless, and it's because they were so bad in the older games that they kind of overshot when trying to balance them in modern musous. But in these older games, they are very, very interesting to deal with. Probably clear out this little spot over here. Actually, no, because I can't use arrows with this control setup. I have not even much of a point in going after those. I literally can't do anything to them. You know, the bongos are so easy to use that I'm kind of at points almost forgetting that, like, oh yeah, I guess there are things that I just straight up can't do with this control scheme. Arrows being one of them. Also, musou attacks, can't do those. I can jump. Barely. It is something I can do. And now Ilaiya is dead forever. Rest in peace, we will see you in Dynasty Warriors 12. I think a bigger problem than the fun placement that I just realized about these bongos is that I have a for whatever reason, I guess because of I have to sit it like in my lap, I have a significantly worse posture while playing with these compared to pretty much any other controller. I am shrimping out a ton right now because I pretty much between the current mic setup alongside the bongos, I don't have a ton of space where I'm sitting. I kind of have to like cramp myself into what space I do have. Nope. I think I am. Oh, fuck. God damn. Again, I think the allies honestly do more to hurt you in this game than help. Let's see if I can just keep him in this loop. Okay, good. You can still move them around to avoid your ally. Just barely, with only attacks, but it is definitely not ideal. Very clearly not the intended way to go about that. And yes, I will indeed save. Oh wait, I think that is the final stage. Wait, was that 4? Am I insane? That was 4 stages. I'm pretty sure that was only 4. Damn, that was shorter than I expected. I mean, this game I knew it's not long for a run. That's another reason why I decided to go with this over Dynasty Warriors 3. A single run in this game is really short, but I could have sworn that there were 5 stages, not 4, but I guess not. I guess not South. Xiahou only goes through 4. Maybe some others go through 5. I could have sworn that they did, but could be misremembering. Has been quite a while, but let's see. Yeah, it's been quite a while since I've listened to this song. I hope it's not gonna cause any issues with like copyright or anything, but it's a very nice song. I forgot the ending song for Dynasty Warriors 2 was this song. It's been a while since I've heard it. I don't really listen to it outside of the game and haven't played this in quite a while, but it is a great song. All Dynasty Warriors games have fantastic soundtracks, but this one is, despite being the, well, first in quotation marks, they really had the kind of sound identity figured out from moment one. Um, well, that went significantly smoother than expected, so I think what I'm gonna do is go for a quick BRB to go hydrate a bit. Then I think we'll play a bit of a different game for not very long. This is not gonna it's not gonna turn out to be a very long stream. This was the main part of it, but we will do a bit of something else as an extra treat because I did not buy these bongos and also set them up and make this overlay and everything just to use it for barely an hour and then throw it away. So we will BRB really quickly, probably about 5 minutes or so, and then new game. So see everyone in a moment. Okay, and we have returned. I was considering doing another Dynasty Warriors 2 run on a higher difficulty, but I feel like it really wouldn't change that much. Now that I've kind of gotten used to the controls on this thing. Uh, it's not the most difficult game to play with these. I may come back and do another, not for like a follower goal like this one, but just in general for funsies. I may come back and do another Donkey Kong Bongo stream at some point with some more challenging games. Ones that aren't just up, left, right, and square. Like, games that require a bit more actual strategy. However, this stream is not completely over. Probably not going to go too much longer, where this is an irregular stream at an irregular hour. Probably won't keep it going too long, but do still have a bit more to go in me, bit more drive. And I want to play these more. I want to test another game. And this other game, I have not tested with the DK Bongos at all. So I don't know if this one will work at all. I feel like it should. I feel like it should work without too much issue. Because it is, control-wise, almost an exact clone of Dynasty Warriors 2. But it is simple series time. In fact, actually, might as well change the stream title really quickly. Probably should have done that while I was BRB. And okay, so let's get all of this set up, and overall it seems to line up fine with it, which makes sense. It is still another PS2 game on my real PS2 that I have my DK Bongos connected to. With official Nintendo X Sony hardware. That's right, Nintendo and Sony kissed to make a adapter for the real-life Sony PlayStation 2 and the real-life Donkey Konga Bongos. Although that part I do actually have right here, because that's fucking, can't just do that with Zaltware. So let's see if this is playable at all. Fuck. Yeah. Hopefully that's the correct button. I have not played this game in a couple months. Oh, fuck. Okay, good. I can use the up button. I was thinking I would need the... Oh, wait, but what I do need is the circle button. Okay, time to instantly remap controls. Gotta invert X. Or... Did not go into this prepared. Okay, Stems clear. We got circle. It's almost exactly the same, but more possible for this particular game. Apologies, I had to take a call really quickly. We are now back, and we're playing the Simple series, Volume 118, the Ochimusha. I already completed this one like 6 months ago, so this is a fully completed save file. I cannot press down. Gotta get the muscle memory for this one as well. Not gonna play very long, kinda just wanna see if it functions, but... Wait, can I... Okay. This one's gonna require a whole new set of muscle memory, so... let's see... Okay, still largely playable. In fact, I would say this is probably more playable than Dynasty Warriors 2 was. No, I forgot. After playing this immediately after Dynasty Warriors 2, it's very clear that this game is a lot more like kind of less polished, of course. Something a bit harder to notice unless you're playing the game that it's very clearly taking a lot of inspiration from immediately before it. Despite that, I do actually still like this game quite a lot. A very underrated Simple series game. This game's actually even more functional than Dynasty Warriors 2. Surprisingly, a lot of PS2 games are... in fact, actually, for this one, I don't even really need the down button because of the way the camera moves when you go left and right. It will eventually just center out anyways. Where I don't even think I'd really that much need forward. Like, I think I could make it through the game without forward. Maybe it wouldn't be ideal, but I could do it. See, this isn't too bad. So actually, this game so far is significantly more playable than Dynasty Warriors 2 was. And that one was already, like, pretty playable. Quite a very possible game to play fully. Also, when I was on the main menu, I entered the wrong game mode. This is not the main story mode, which can be done in like a very... I could do a main story stage within just a couple minutes. This is a side mode that is not an infinite loop. It does have an end, but that end, well, sort of has an end. That sort of end takes quite a while to get to. I think you have to go through like 20 or so loops of this. Requires the confirm button significantly more frequently than Dynasty Warriors 2. So that is tripping me up a little bit, but still a very simple game to play. Yeah, play Simple Series, Volume 118. Play the Ochimusha. This game is as simple as it is. It is actually a very good game. I would highly recommend it. I probably won't end up streaming it normally after this point because I did already 100% it like a few months ago. Just for anyone who is an enjoyer of Simple series games, I would say that this one is probably my favorite of the Simple series kind of set of games. Attack ranges are not nearly as wide as in Dynasty Warriors 2, however, so... they're not nearly as wide as in that game, so... You do still kinda just have to position yourself directly in front of the opponent if you want to really hit them. It's not too hard to do that, but... Oh shit, went the wrong way. This is odd. Believe it or not, as simple as this is actually like probably top 10 PS2 games for me. Which top 10 may not sound that crazy, but I am a very big enjoyer of a lot of PS2 games. One of my favorite games of all time, Jak and Daxter, and also my favorite Dynasty Warriors game, Dynasty Warriors 3, are both PS2 titles. So being top 10 is a pretty big compliment, especially for a simple series game. So I would actually highly recommend this game. It is as much as this side mode with the way that I'm playing may not seem the most interesting. The game is actually pretty great. There's a lot of extra mechanics, such as a like demon kind of special mode, and like a weapon stealing mechanic. I can't do those with the bongos, unfortunately. Don't have enough buttons, but just trust me, play the game yourself, and you will see it's a really fun game. It is quite an enjoyable time for what it is. Oh yeah, I forgot. Most of these stages in this game, you can just, like, kind of just walk to the end of the stage. For some reason, this particular stage, and am I stuck? I think I may be stuck. I think I somehow got stuck. Oh wait, no. Just barely. Just barely, if you just... I suppose you can... Oh, yep. Okay, good. I'm gonna be honest, that was... It's fucking funny as hell. I can't even be mad, that was fucking... If I had been actually, like, fully stuck there, that would have been so fucking stupid. Getting stuck on a wall on both sides. It is certainly a simple series game. That is most certainly what it is. Love it or hate it, it is exactly what it is. I'm gonna see if I can get to the end of this, at least the end of one order. Unless, actually, no, I'll go a bit further. Whoa, I am kind of curious. This is the weapons menu, maybe? No, that's stats. Oh, fuck. Yeah, oh no, I got stuck. Well, I could just remap a button. I don't want to do that though. So I guess this is the end of the Ochimusha. This is how he dies in Purgatory in a single menu because I can't press the X button. Unless I remap controls, which I don't want to do that. Fine, I'll remap a single button just for this one situation. You know, actually, no. Okay. Now I gotta change it back. I have to manually change the controls in order to get this to work. Okay, can't enter any more of these, but what I can do is, wait, no, that's not the exit state. This is, I believe. Yeah. This is a fantastic experience. Okay, yeah, these are the main actual stages. You know what? This stage can be completed in 43 seconds. That is my fastest time. I want to see how much slower I am with the bongo. Because I will absolutely be slower, but I don't know how much slower I'll end up being. Oh no, I nearly missed the most important stream of the year. Oh, Ilaiya. I hope your day is going well. It's been a fun stream. Not quite at the end yet, although I probably won't go for that much longer. So we finished Dynasty Warriors 2, did an entire run, and it was shorter than I expected. So instead, now we're playing Simple Series Volume 118, the Ochimusha, aka the best Simple Series game. With the bongos. All of this is still with the bongos. I would never play a video game normally. But the conclusion we've come up with is that the bongos are barely even harder to play games with compared to normal controls. They're mostly the same. Having only 4, kind of 5, but just for menus, having 4 buttons, not as much of an impossibility as you would probably think. While not the easiest way to play, especially in a game like this where there's not a ton of range to your weapons, it's not ideal, but it's definitely not unplayable. So far both games have been incredibly playable, surprisingly so. Is this a stage where I just have to go over here? Okay, now. I need to play more Simple Series games or I'll never be a real gamer. Play the Ochimusha, Volume 118. It's this one. I can't show off like 2/3 of the core mechanics because all I can do is press directional buttons and the basic attack button, but there is so much shit to this game that makes it so fun, despite being a Simple Series game. For example, there's a weapon stealing mechanic it's like a, not quite counter, but you can do a little motion that will, uh, you kind of just put your chest out and let the enemy stab you, but you steal their weapon in the process, and then after you've built up enough weapons inside of you, you can press a button and just unleash all of the weapons and just fucking just push them out of your body like a hedgehog. Is a very fun game. Very interesting game. Unfortunately, can't do that right now. Can't do that with the bongos. The most fun part of the game. Let's see, what was the time rating? Did not see. It was definitely not faster than 49 seconds though, so okay. I've heard shockingly good things about Tokusatsu Henshin Hero, so I have at least 2 to get around to. I don't think I've ever heard of that one. Despite playing this one, I am also not much of an expert on simple series games. I played this one. I've 100% completed this one a couple months ago. I played... I don't even remember the name of it. It was like a Princess Maker like game, like a raising sim. I played like 30 minutes of it. It was alright. And I played like 5 minutes of the original Earth Defense Force just to make sure it functioned, but not much. I also have not played a ton of simple series games. I really need to. They are fun. They are very interesting little series of games. The basketball fighting game is there's a basketball fighting game. Okay, maybe that one's the peak of simple series. Maybe that really is the best it has to offer. Also, I can't really check the audio super well beyond just what OBS shows me. I got a new mic this stream, so I hope it sounds better. I know it's probably pretty quiet though. I tried balancing things in OBS to make that better, but may still be a bit too quiet. Okay, thank you very much. as long as it sounds audible, I can deal with that. I can sort everything out, all of the minor kinks later, but as long as it's at least like audible for now, I am satisfied with that. Because I was originally going to stream a bit earlier, around the normal time of like 9 or 10, but the combination of troubleshooting the bongos themselves and also more importantly making sure this mic was functioning made me delay it quite a bit. Along with a couple of other things, but those were the main reasons. And once again, I cannot exit this menu without manually remapping things mid-game. So. Trying to look at my list of physical PS2 games that I have on my physical Sony PlayStation 2 that I'm using my official Nintendo Sony Donkey Kong Bongo adapter on. I'm trying to see what games do I have. I unfortunately don't think I have any other games that would be even mildly playable with the bongos. As playable as they are in musou games, non-musos, I don't think the 4-button setup is the most viable. I'm honestly surprised it's as usable in these games as it is, but yeah. I think this may be the only game. I think I'll do one more short stage. Then I guess I'll call it there, just because of the fact that Dynasty Wars 2 ended up being very short. This game is also not the most depthful, although I think the DK Bongos, I think they're getting a bit stuck on certain buttons at this point. But although, despite this being specifically for the follower goal, I think I will, not for any specific goal or anything, just playing normally for funsies. I probably will come back and do another Donkey Kong Bongo stream, maybe for their intended games, because I did not buy these to use them for a single hour and then throw them away, but yeah, it has been, fuck, which button? Okay, there. Keep forgetting the button mapping because I've had to change them like twice while playing this game. But I probably will come back and play another DK Bongo stream eventually. Not fucking like, not like tomorrow or anything. Another DK Bongo stream will probably be a bit away. I would have to find some more games aside from the intended games that would actually be enjoyable and also playable with them. But can't skip this cutscene. Let's hope it. Okay, didn't put me into any kind of lock. But yeah, surprisingly a usable controller. I was expecting much worse from the DK Bongos, the Donkey Konga Bongos, but no, these are actually in fact quite good controllers for what they are. The only real issue is the lack of buttons, and even that's not like that big of a deal. Just a kind of back-to-back DK Bongos. Yeah, I was actually saying earlier in the stream, because of the setup I have, not only is there that, because yeah, it is, I have to use like crab hands to press all 4 buttons at the correct part, so it's not great hand posture, it's very repetitive, and my sitting posture is way worse than with a normal controller because this takes up so much space, and the adapter combined with this new microphone, all of it is in a spot where I kind of just have to like dribble up into my chair. So I think if I think that is true, if I did another DK Bongo stream immediately after this, would probably be hell on my hands and hell on my back, so but I can deal with that like once every month, maybe. I can deal with the DK Bongo pain stream every once in a while. This guy has crazy evasion. Just perfectly dodging all of my attacks. Oh. I almost have him. I'll get him soon. Oh. I guess I just go down here for this mission. Fuck, do I still have that mapped? Okay, good, I do. Forgetting the button mapping mid-fucking play. Join the Awful Sitting Posture Club. The members consist solely of gamers and bi women. Yeah, I'd say I fit into that category, so I'd say I'd be a good fit. This poor farmer, coming at the DK Bongo player, acting go in. I actually wasn't even planning to kill that guy. He kind of just walked into the sword. I didn't expect it to have the range to hit it. And that's the end of the stage. Yeah, every stage in this game, you know, it is a simple series game. Every stage in this game can be beaten in like 2 minutes. They're all very short. Okay. Very playable game, very surprisingly playable video game. But I think I'm sorry I have to end it so shortly after you joined, Ali, but I think I'm gonna end it there. I had expected to go on longer because I had expected the Dynasty Warriors 2 play. It wasn't very long. It was very short. A very short playthrough, so. No worries, thank you. No worries, have a good rest of your day. Thank you for the stream. Thank you very much. It was a fun one. Again, I probably will do another one of these at some point relatively soonish. A short enough period of time where I don't have these fully in storage, but enough time that I don't break my hands. But it was very fun. Turn that off. And yeah, DK Bongos, surprisingly very good controller for PlayStation 2 musos. And it's not like 90% of other games, but for those specifically, the ones that have like 4 buttons they require, any game like that, surprisingly not a terrible controller. But it's a very good stream though. Thank you very much everyone who showed up. I will... Next stream will probably be either tomorrow, if not, then probably next week. But either way, today's stream, very good, very fun stream. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye. Hope you all have a great day.